now with all this going on from Formula One to cricket to football. I thought I'd get a top sports journalist to recap the whole weekend. And joining me live from Doha, Qatar is the sports broadcaster, James Varley. James, welcome to Sportuccino this morning. I hear you've got a bit of unseasonal weather going on there right now.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's crazy weather here in Doha at the moment. It's been torrential rain for the last couple of days. And as I think you know, Richard, if it rains only for a few minutes over here, the place starts flooding. It's treacherous on the roads. It's been like wacky races the last couple of days.
It's been wacky races. Well, no Dick Dastardly on the show today, but a lot of people think Mourinho plays that type of character. What did you make of his antics this weekend on Sunday during that 1-1 draw where he got sent to the stands?
Typical Mourinho when he's not getting his own way, I think. To me, he just doesn't look happy in Manchester at all. I don't think I've seen him smile since he joined Manchester United. He looks frustrated. He looks like he doesn't know his right 11. He just doesn't seem to have settled at all. It looks like he's cutting a very frustrated figure at the moment. And I think this is just indicative of where his mindset is at the present time.
Who do you think are some of the players which he should be playing a bit more often? You know, he keeps chopping and changing.
I think for me, I think he's got issues all over the park. And like you say, I don't think he knows his best. I think one of his issues is going forward, and it's going to be a continued issue over the next 12 months for him, really. He's got Zlatan Ibrahimovic, obviously incredible pedigree, fantastic career, but this guy's 35 years of age, and he's having to play a really promising young player like Marcus Rashford on the wing. He's got Wayne Rooney on the bench. We seem to have, in England now committed to this fact that Wayne Rooney is a midfielder. I still think he can do a job going forward, and I think that's his better position. I'd be pushing him a bit further forward, possibly in the number 10 role. And as I say, I'd like to see Rashford further forward as well. I mean, I don't see Ibrahimovic as a long-term option for Manchester United, not if they want to get back to winning titles. I think they need to start building a young team again, building around the young players that are at the club, and stop trying to just buy the way out of trouble. It's not worked over the last few seasons, and Mourinho has just carried on really where David Moyes and Louis van Gaal have left off.
I completely agree with you about Rashford playing a bit further forward, playing Rooney a bit further forward. I thought Rooney actually, he scored that great goal in the Europa League a couple of weeks ago. He looked better, I think it was at the win against Swansea. Just started to improve. I was very critical over him at the Euros, been critical about him in midfield, but I think he has picked up. So I was surprised that he didn't start against West Ham, even though I'm a big Juan Mata fan. Well, United, it's their worst ever performance to a start of an English Premier League season. Should they give him time? Should they give Mourinho time? He thinks that he can do something like Chelsea and perhaps win the title with them in their second season. But then if you look at a team like Real Madrid, they sacked Benitez really early, ended up winning the Champions League. I know it's not typical Man United, but could they do something as drastic as that?
I'd be very surprised. I mean, I can't see Manchester United sacking Mourinho. I could see Mourinho walking away because I just don't think it's working for him at the moment in Manchester. It'll be interesting to see how long he does stay there. I mean, as we've seen with his career so far, he generally does 2 or 3 seasons. But if it's not going his way, if he's continuing to, not know his best 11, not get the best out of the players, and I think, to be honest with you, with Mourinho, I look at him at the moment and he cuts the figure of a guy who just looks like he's made a mistake going to Manchester. I don't think maybe he doesn't suit the city, maybe he doesn't suit the club. I mean, I think he's still there living in a hotel. He just doesn't look happy. And I think if he's not enjoying his football, if he doesn't believe in the project, if he believes that he can't really give Manchester United anywhere near the success that they got used to under Sir Alex Ferguson, then maybe he'll walk away and maybe go back to London or go back to the continent or something. It'll be interesting to see. I'd be very surprised if Manchester United pulled the trigger, especially this early. But we'll just have to see how it goes over the next few months. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's not going to want to be leading Manchester United to a top 8 finish, for example. If he doesn't finish in the top 4, I'm sure he'll see that as a massive failure.
As soon as you mentioned Mourinho there in a hotel, I just thought immediately of Alan Partridge. I'm expecting Mourinho there with his big 15-inch plate, making sure he gets the most out of the buffet, because he's not getting the most out of his players right now. One man who is, though, James, is Antonio Conte. The man of the match on Saturday between Chelsea and Tottenham is a guy called Victor Moses. He's getting the best out of him. What is in the water there? What is he doing to some of these players to get players such as Victor Moses to perform at such a high level?
Well, what a turnaround. I mean, you've got Mourinho, who's gone in completely the opposite direction at Manchester United. Conte, I mean, what I love about him, you watch him on the touchline, you see his passion, his vigour for the game, and his team are playing in his image. And, I mean, he's made a fantastic impact. You mentioned there Victor Moses. He's come in, he's seen Moses, a very talented player. It's a shock to a lot of football fans that Victor Moses is one of the first names on this Chelsea team sheet. Probably not as big a shock to people within the game. I mean, when I worked at Leeds United, the manager there at the time was Neil Warnock, and he used to rave about Victor Moses. He said he was one of the most talented players that he'd ever had the privilege of managing. And he said he used to tell Moses, look, you can do whatever you want to do in this game. You've just got to apply yourself. Clearly, he started applying himself in recent times. Conte has seen his talent, and he's now a focal point of the team and scoring winning goals in the Premier League in huge London derbies.
Yeah, incredible stuff there. So good win for Chelsea against Tottenham. What do you make of Arsenal and City this weekend?
I thought Arsenal were decent yesterday. I watched that game. I was pleased for Alexis Sanchez. He was the captain of my fantasy team, so it was nice to see him get a couple of...
I've got people in my league with Sanchez as their captain. I wasn't happy with that at all.
I thought Arsenal were professional enough yesterday. I mean, to be fair, Bournemouth put up a decent fight. I mean, you know what you're going to get with an Eddie Howe team. He wants to play football the right way. They're going to attack. They caused Arsenal plenty of problems. I mean, they gave away the first goal. It was a terrible error by Cook. He just literally played in Sanchez, and he was through on goal. Got the opener there at the Emirates. But I mean, fair play to Bournemouth. They got right back in the game. You know, obviously they scored with the penalty, but they had a few other chances as well. Petr Cech had to make a couple of saves. But in the end, second half, it was important for Arsenal to get that early goal to go 2-1 up, through Theo Walcott header, bit of a collector's item. And then, they just did enough to win the game, get the 3 points, move on to the next one. They're looking strong. I mean, they don't really have any major injuries, I don't think. They've got a fantastic forward line, as we know. If you get Sanchez, Ozil, I mean, Ramsey's coming back into the first 11 now. Theo Walcott, of course. They've got a lot of quality going forward. If they can just maybe strengthen a little bit in the centre of park, then they're going to be a real force this season. As for Manchester City, a bit similar to Arsenal, really. I thought they were really professional at Burnley. Burnley are becoming a very, very difficult team to play against, especially at Turf Moor. Took the lead with a fantastic strike, and then City really capitalised on poor defensive errors, particularly for the second goal. Aguero's first was just a little bit of a scramble in the penalty area, got himself in the right position, and that's what you want to do as a striker, isn't it? Just get yourself in the right position, and if the midfield and your fellow strikers can deliver the ball for you, he'll put it away. We've seen that with Aguero time and time again.
Yeah, when I speak about my dream team as well, they did have injuries to John Stones, who was in my team. And then, once again, Guardiola stuck by Yaya Toure for this game. It's interesting that he's brought him back into the fold.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, because he seemed to have completely jettisoned him at the start of the season, and it was as if Joe Hart and Yaya Toure were never going to play for City again. But clearly, Toure, perhaps it's an attitude thing. He's changed his attitude. He doesn't want to be sat on the bench or not in the squad. He wants to be involved, and he showed the last couple of games. The quality player he is. Did very well when the game at Crystal Palace. Got a couple of goals, and I'm sure he'll kick on now. I mean, what I like about what Pep Guardiola's doing, he's just kind of going under the radar at the moment. He's probably got the strongest squad in the division, and if he can manage them properly, then they're going to be very close to the title this season.
They are indeed, and if you haven't already, James, join our fantasy league #Sportuccino. We've got all the codes on the page. Join us. Let's see how good you are with your captain, Alexis Sanchez, there. Let's move away from football for a moment. Let's talk Formula One. It's in the region you're in, the big Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Nico Rosberg becoming the world champion. Do you think he is a deserving world champion this year?
Yeah, he's got the most number of points, hasn't he? And it's over quite a number of races. He's been the most consistent driver. He's just edged in front of Lewis Hamilton. I mean, is he going to challenge, Lewis Hamilton's haul of titles by the end of his career? I don't think so, no. Is Hamilton the better driver? Is he the quicker driver? He certainly is. But Rosberg's the one with the most points. He's won the title, so you've got to congratulate him. As we know, it was a pretty controversial Grand Prix. I think it was a fantastic way to end the season. I mean, we've had a lot of controversy. People say, "Oh, Lewis disobeyed his team orders and all this kind of thing." But I mean, this is a guy who's going for the world title. How on earth can you not try your absolute hardest to win it? Okay, you could argue that it's a little bit, immoral to do what he did, but he was trying to win one of the biggest trophies in sport. He's trying to defend his title. So I don't blame him for doing what he did. I don't blame him for disobeying team orders. I think the vast majority of competitors at that level would have done exactly the same thing. So Rosberg, he's a worthy champion. He's got the most number of points. As we know, though, Hamilton is the best driver in the world.
Is it going to be difficult for Mercedes to keep both of these drivers happy? Is it going to cause this anarchy that they've spoken about, this chaos? Because, originally it was Hamilton number one driver, Rosberg number two, then they got a really good car, Rosberg started doing well, then there was the season where, I think it was 2 years ago, where eventually they almost let Lewis become the champion and made Rosberg take a back seat. And now Rosberg's the champion, so there's no way that they can see Hamilton as one, Rosberg as two. Surely there's going to come to a huge climax where there's going to be a whole load of problems, isn't there?
Possibly, yeah. But I mean, the thing is, at the moment, from what I can gather, they've still got the best car by a mile. And I don't think either of these drivers would want to give up a seat in the car. And they'd rather probably continue battling each other. Hamilton, certainly. I mean, I think he'll be so determined next season to try and get back on top, for Mercedes and on top for the world title again. I mean, it's a weird kind of anomaly, really, with Formula One. You have teams, but it is an individual sport, but it's also, on a lesser degree, I think, a team sport. It'll be interesting to see the dynamic, but I think, like I say, they'll both want to be in the best car. They'll both want to be competing for the world title. So I'd be surprised if there's a split at this stage. Also, I mean, it's an entertainment sport. It's for the fans, and we want to see these rivalries. We want to see Rosberg and Hamilton going head to head. I mean, Hamilton yesterday on the team radio said, "Let us race," and I think that's what the fans to see. It's an action-packed, entertaining sport, and let them race, let them get on with it.
Exactly. Well, James, it's been great to get your thoughts this morning on football and on Formula One. Just before you go, maybe give us your details on how we can follow you on Twitter and any other forms of social media, please.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at J Varley Qatar. Being a Leeds fan and having worked at the club, most of my tweets are they're fairly good at the moment because we're winning and we're in the top six. So for some positive Leeds tweets, then follow me.
Well, I'm hoping there won't be any positive Leeds tweets on December the 9th when they face Brighton. I'm hoping that there'll be slightly negative ones there when they face Brighton, but we'll have to wait and see. Normally produce quite a few goals that game, actually. So,
yeah, and it's usually, I mean, the fans always go mad as well because it's generally on a Friday night and the kickoff's about 7 or 8 o'clock. And I think this is either a Thursday or a Friday night kickoff again, if I'm not mistaken.
It got moved from Saturday to Friday. I remember there was a game a few years ago. I think it was 3-3. I think Brighton was 3-1 up, and I think McCormack got a couple of goals late on. Yeah, I think ever since then, Sky always tries to get this game on the telly. Yeah,
they certainly do. Good stadium down there. Obviously, you guys going extremely well, so it should be a good game. We've got Liverpool in the EFL Cup on Tuesday, then Aston Villa, then I think we play Brighton. So tough run of fixtures for us. I think it's a real acid test the next few weeks. See how we go.
Definitely, but fun fixtures and all good to watch. Well, it's been great to watch you and listen to you this morning, James Varley, live from Qatar. Thank you so much for your time and thanks for being on Sportuccino.
Pleasure, Richard. Thanks a lot.